Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. It's your girl Maria Park, and I am in my sound booth again because again, this is the best area for me to do my streams right now. But we are here to talk about Stargirl, season 3, episode 3. We're still doing our murder mystery, pretty much storyline where somebody has killed the gambler and we need to all figure out like an episode of Clue or the game Clue, who did it or who done it. There are lots of suspects around. We've got, the Crocs, of course, are always going to be really anybody who is pre-ISA is definitely a suspect. And then, of course, I still thought the Starman had something to do with it. Something does happen to him in this episode. It doesn't rule it out for me, but it just means that there's something else going on. Grundy could be back. There's a lot going on in this episode. So we're just going to kind of dive in so I can talk about some stuff. And then also, I keep seeing so many Infinity Inc. freaking references. Now, if you guys remember back in season 1, my biggest, wish list was that we had Infinity Inc. I always wanted them to have Infinity Inc. I never wanted them to be JSA juniors. So I guess that having them digress, and de-age the characters where they're not like in their 20s and they're actually in high school, is a thing that they had to do because Courtney was in high school. But I've always thought we kind of lacked that Infinity Inc. touch that I love so much. And there's so many things that are just like pushing us towards Infinity Inc. really being a thing. All right. So in the episode, we have Sylvester who is trying to find balance because Courtney basically told him, you can't just be raged all the time. You can't just live as Starman. You have to have something like if you're not Starman, Sylvester, then who are you basically? And he doesn't know. Because he's lived a life where his parents basically show them off his trophies, and he says as much. And so he's never had a chance to really figure out who Sylvester actually is. And so this whole episode has been very eye-opening, I believe, because we already know he rages. It's very hard for him to keep his cool and temper because they're basically living next door to the people that murdered in his mind his former team. So, we're basically we're paddling up with the Injustice Society, and I don't understand why. So that's where his stance is on that, but he's trying to play the game because it's Courtney's show, basically. She's Stargirl now, and he's trying to support that. So I think that's interesting. So he's going around town trying to figure out, he's trying to find a job. And I don't know why people always think finding balance means finding a job. I mean, yeah, you need security to pay your bills, but that does not give you balance. As a matter of fact, for most of us in the real world, that drives us insane and we don't find balance at work. So just interesting that his finding balance is basically him finding a job. But he's not having any luck. He doesn't know what to do. He's like looking around town. He stops by the cafe. He talks with Yolanda and she starts asking about the previous Wildcat, Ted Grant. And he was like, well, Ted would be very proud of you. He didn't trust people like you and how you basically give the stink eye and are suspicious of Cindy, the Dragon King's kid. I mean, he would respect that. And he's basically telling Yolanda, yeah, Ted Grant would absolutely love you, which is so ironic because Ted was actually her godfather in the comics. But, and she's a whole freaking metahuman. But yeah, I love that kind of interaction. I love that Sylvester went to have, I don't know if it was the coffee that was bitter. He didn't seem to like the coffee, but he had tea that Maria gave him. No, the coffee was a vendor outside. So he went to the cafe and Maria gave him some tea and he's like, this is the best tea I've had like ever. And she's like, yeah, so I've heard, because the shade trained her. And I think I love that running thing is still going. But yeah, so that I just love that's what I love about Stargirl. It takes little moments and then it makes it like a repetitive thing. It's not just forgotten. So I think that was very cool. So yeah, Sylvester again is moving around town. At the same time, Cindy, who has taken the gambler's laptop, basically emailed out she emailed it for Beth to find proof that the Crocs were being blackmailed by the gambler, which of course, she's still trying to break into this laptop to get into her dad's files. And my question mark is, how is she able to get all this other information, like the blackmailing and all of this stuff, but not be able to get into her dad's files? Why is that so super secretive? I know it's something that she needs because I'm kind of the impression that something is wrong with her. Like maybe she had to have some kind of maintenance for her body or whatever, and she's trying to fix herself. That's what I think is happening because she keeps drinking. Well, she did drink that whatever was in that vial. So I think something is wrong with her, and I don't think it's nefarious reasons she's doing this. I think she's trying to cure herself from whatever the hell her dad did while he was making her, experimenting on her or whatever. But yeah, she sent this file proving that the Crocs were being blackmailed by Gambler. And so the JSA have a meeting at lunch. And of course, Courtney's like, you can't tell anybody, especially do not tell Sylvester. Everybody agree, do not tell Sylvester. And of course, Cindy tells Sylvester because she wants him to go, take on the Crocs because the JSA is not going to do it. Now, believe it or not, Cindy does it because she's trying to impress them and become a full-fledged JSA member and to prove that she didn't, probably just to prove that she didn't kill the Gambler, by going after the people that are the most likely suspects. And I love how the ISA turn on each other. Like, when the Gambler came to town, Sportsmaster was like, "Oh, well, you can't trust him. He's just crap." It's like you guys were all one team. You all were villains, and I think I think it's funny how they turn on each other. But all right, so long story short, with Sylvester, he goes to the supermarket. Remember, now we just had this talk with Pat, and I'll get to Pat in a minute, where Pat basically tells him this is a small town folks. Everybody's trying to live their life. They don't care about this JSA, ISA bullshit. And then he goes, like Sylvester goes to the grocery store to hunt the Crocs. And that fight was pretty epic. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty badass. But I mean, it's just like, what did he just tell you? So, yeah, after causing this massive scene in the grocery store, which may be the town's only grocery store, I'm not sure at this point, Courtney, of course, gets wind of it, and they figured out that Cindy told. And so, she shows up with, Stripe, and, they pretty much break up the fight. And Sylvester is in his feelings. He gets so angry at Pat. He's like, "You're my sidekick," and blah, blah, blah. And Pat's like, "I'm keep trying to tell you I'm not your sidekick." I'm like, I don't know why this is not penetrating. And it's like he has to handle Sylvester with kid gloves. He has to talk him down. I'm starting to wonder if this really is the real Sylvester, if he's a clone of the old Sylvester. Like maybe the Dragon King made a clone of him or something of that nature. And this is not the real Sylvester. And the reason that he thinks he woke up in a coffin is because he actually woke up in like some kind of big, like, scientific, like, concoction, like one of those chambers that you see like in Resident Evil or Aliens, because he's so prone to aggression all of the time. It's very crazy. But, after he has this long talk, and Pat basically says, "You're like a father figure." And he lets him know that about Courtney's dad and how Courtney thought for the longest time that he was her dad. He's like, "You have to be a father figure for Courtney." And I'm like, "Pat, you really shouldn't tell this man this." Because Pat, you need to be the father figure for Courtney. I kept screaming at the TV, "No, as a mother of over 26 years, that is bad advice." Like, you can be a role model, but you do not have to be this child's father figure. Pat, you need to be the father figure because you are his stepfather. Dumbass. I'm sorry. I just had to put that out there in the cosmos that really bothered me. But, it spurred him into making a change. And so he went to go investigate at the Gambler's trailer what happened. And then somebody attacks him and looks like they killed him. I don't think he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's unconscious. But yeah, that is a whole thing. Now, side note, in this conversation, basically Pat says you need a new costume, or you need a costume. And, of course, Sylvester's like, "What?" And I don't know if you guys noticed this. This is just me, and I could be completely off my rocker here, but tell me he was not making Skyman's costume from Infinity Inc. It looked like Skyman's costume that he was sewing. And good job, Pat, for having sewing skills. I'm very proud. He is all around domesticator because his wife can't do any of that. So I am very, very into how domesticated Pat is. It is very amusing to me, especially since, if we all remember last season, he's not a pushover. He has a dark side, like how he tortured, Rick's uncle. And speaking of Rick, this is another Infinity Inc. thing I have said a million times. Beth and Rick in the comics in Infinity Inc. were in a relationship for the longest time up until something happens to her, which, I guess I can say it because I don't think they're going to do it in this. Her and Yolanda both get killed together on a mission. So why is Rick driving Beth around in his car? Somebody please answer that for me, because I can't logically understand why they're always together unless they're trying to emulate the relationship they had in the comics. Because again, Our Man and Dr. Midnight were a couple in Infinity Inc. So I'm just putting it out there in the cosmos that that's another thing that I'm thinking is going down the Infinity Inc., path. Like I said, there's so much. Like even the storyline with his hourglass, not acting right. In the comics, she's the one that actually fixed it for him. But what was really happening, it was causing him radiation damage and was almost killing him. So she had to come up with this whole serum to try and fix him. So there was that. And then on top of that, if they're modifying it, it may be that she has to come up with semantic or some kind of schematics with him to try and fix his time. Or maybe they're gonna keep that storyline. Maybe he's gonna mess with it so much it's gonna try and kill him. I don't know. It looks like it could go in that direction, but I mean, I'm here for it because they really seem to be really pulling more from Infinity Inc. than they are from Stars and Stripes. So I'm completely okay with that. All right. So I do see your comments below, and I am going to comment on that. I was going to talk about Mr. Bones. Yes, that we did have a Mr. Bones sighting. A lot of people are thinking that Mr. Bones, or Director Bones, whatever I'm going to call him, is going to be or is the actual main culprit on who killed the gambler, which kind of could be true. But he also becomes a hero because he joins Infinity Inc. at some point. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what stage we're in with Mr. Bones. He's probably in his villain stage because, every villain in the Arrowverse has this rehabilitation program thrown upon them. So, no matter how bad they are and what they do. So, that could be a thing. I don't know. I still kind of feel like it's not him, though. I don't know why. It could be, but I don't think it is. But, I mean, honestly, it could be Obsidian, honestly. It could be anybody. But I still think with Starman's rage that there's a lot going on with him, and I really think he's a clone. I don't know why I have that in my head, but I feel like he's not the real Sylvester. The more they keep talking, the more I keep feeling like there's something off about him, and I keep feeling like it's the same journey that Cindy had. It's almost like they're the same, and Cindy, she was modified by her dad. So, I mean, if he's not a clone, he could have been modified and just made to have the memory that he was buried alive. I don't know. I just have to think about this because like there's a lot going on with that. Um, we got to see Cameron in this. Again, Cameron is losing his shit. Like Cameron's like, I free stuff now. I am the male Elsa and I can't control myself. I can't do art. I am miserable. And at first he blows Courtney off when she says hello. Then he tries to talk to her, and but he's kind of very guarded and he kind of walks away. In his mind, I don't think the grandparents told him that she's Stargirl, and I don't think the grandparents told her that she had a hand in killing his dad, even though technically Mike killed his dad with Stripe. But I do wonder what is going to happen when he finds out, because there's a scene in the episode where they're in class and he's getting ready to leave and he didn't do his homework. And the reason he didn't do his homework is because he can't hold a pen. Like he's freezing everything. And I guess the laptop's the same. I don't know. But the teacher that we saw last season that was giving Rick a hard time and has kind of come around, to him, he basically was mouthing off to, and Rick came in and saw it. And so Rick was getting into it with him, and we kind of saw then Cameron had the look on his face like, I want to rip Rick apart and freeze his insides. And when he leaves the school, he actually makes an icicle give Rick's car a flat. So Our Man and Icicle Jr. are going to be rivals. I can see this already. But yeah, Cameron's not in control of anything. And he's losing it. He's actually becoming darker. And I don't know if the powers, when they manifest in you, if that's what makes your personality that twisted. Because it seemed like his dad didn't become that twisted until his mother died. But I mean, I don't know. That's just me. I know he was ISA, but I'm just saying I'm really confused on that whole situation. But we will learn this next week, because in the trailer for next week, it's more about Cameron. So that is a good thing. But as for now, yeah, seeing that scene, seeing that whole altercation with Rick, seeing how he is with Courtney is definitely a thing. It's definitely interesting. I'm going to talk about the highlight for me, outside of, remember I told you I like the little things in this show that are just continuously used. There are two things that keep happening that keep like amusing the hell out of me, and that is Beth's parents' enthusiasm for helping her fight crime. Like they're like coming up with suspects and stuff. It's just like, what is happening? They're always like, they want to change her costume, her name. They want to help her. They will help her in her journey, and it's like saving their marriage. It's very not an unhealthy thing, honestly. But it is what it is. So I do love that. And then the second thing is Barbara and Paula's relationship with each other. Tigress is amusing as hell. And what I love about her, she goes to see Barbara again. I love how, she's discussing the Rotary Club. The cake was a hit. Now they want me to do a speech. Like she's and Barbara's like, "What does the Rotary Club actually do?" She's like, "I don't know." Like, and I love how even though Tigress is a whole ass sociopath, she is bonding with Courtney's mom, and they're becoming, friends. And I didn't think it was gonna go further than that because actually when Sylvester fought them and then they went back to the house and they talked about the blackmail, how he was blackmailing them, but, and they didn't take him out, but, they were, apparently the gambler came at the town and gave them their money back, but it made them suspicious. And then they realized, hey, he really is trying to find his daughter. So they kind of backed off. But I thought that would have ended Barbara and, and her and Paula's friendship, but it didn't because when Paula's doing the speech, she has stage fright and she's like standing out. This is a woman who has literally killed many, many people, has fought JSA members, has nerves of steel, can literally scale a damn building, but can't do public speaking. And I thought that was really, it's like being vulnerable is hard, which I guess makes sense. But what got me was she saw Barbara come in and then she was able to do the speech. And I'm like, that is adorable. Their friendship is unorthodox and crazy as it is, actually works for for this show. And I actually really like her and Tigress being friends. And I really hope nothing happens to mess that up. But it is an Arrowverse show, so it probably will. On top of that, the whole scenario with Tigress as a whole, dealing with Barbara's boss, because she's friends now. She was in the office when the boss came in and made fun of Barbara, saying, "You got any proposal that you wrote? It's crap." And so later, after the speech and all that, Paula goes to the office, and the guy's still working late, and she's like, basically, "We need to talk about my friend." And he's like, "Which?" He starts naming off all of these women, I guess that he's messing around or has messed over, and she starts being Tigress, and she's like, "No, we're talking about Barbara and why you're gonna start being very effing nice to her from now on." And I'm like, I effing love that so much. I know Barbara would not approve of that, but I thought it was awesome. So I really love, the whole Paula and Barbara relationship. I just do. Not sure where we are on Artemis joining the JSA. We keep seeing her, but they haven't really made an offer, so that's a thing. I don't know. Another funny scene that I left out because it really has nothing to do with anything. Courtney made waffles and breakfast for everybody, and then the Crocs came in, and Sportsmaster took it, and he was like, "Nope," and he's like, "You're gonna eat this now." And I'm like, "This is why you lock your door to your house." I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot going on. That kind of reminds me of Infinity Inc. And I'm absolutely excited for it because, as you guys know, being on my channel for a while, I'm a big Infinity Inc. fan. So extremely excited about it. All right, I'm looking at your comments, guys. So let me stretch out my window because I'm old. And oldness counts. Hello, Ray. How are you? Hello, Jermaine. So you just caught up with the season. That is awesome. Mercenary, hello. Let's see here. Stargirl has given me everything I need. The fight between Starman and the Crocs is the best damn fight. Yep. I have seen in the Arrowverse, Superverse. I have seen to this day. I watched it. You watched it multiple times or 6 times. Yeah, 6 times is pretty much what you need. That I will give the Crocs this, even though I think they knew they had no chance against Cosmo, especially. They were giving it. They're like, you know what? If we're going down swinging. So I got to give them props for that. You're absolutely right. Let's see. Hunting Crocs at a convenience store. I mean, why? And honestly, I feel like that's the only place they get food. If you destroy that place, they don't have a grocery store anymore. So it's not a large town. So I don't know. It is what it is. Pat should be named Pacemaker. Oh my God, I love that. Actually, I love that for him. I think you should actually write DC and say, "Hey, this is what we need you," or leave Jeff Johns. "This is what you need to name Pat, Pacemaker." That is a perfect name for him. Let's see. I had the clone theory too. I mean, seriously, it seems like he's a clone, or if he's not cloned, he's modified. Something is not right with him. If next episode he just gets up and he's okay, then we know something's kind of shady in the valley. Because when you look at the preview for next week, it does not look like Courtney is grieving or anyone's grieving over Starman. So I don't think he's dead. So I don't know. I'm in my feelings. I'm having some questions on, everything's turning. I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, there's a lot going on in here. And like, yes, we had a Mr. Bones sighting or Director Bones sighting. He could be the clone from Luthor Corp. Oh, he could be. Well, are we still? It's just hard for me because I don't know what effing Earth. It's like they're on Earth too, and I don't know what Superman and Lois are on now. I don't know what they're doing because everybody else was Prime or Earth except for Naomi. Stargirl is not. I think Gotham Knights isn't going to be. Um, Black Lightning was. So I think all the rest of the shows were Prime Earth, so or Earth 1. So I don't know. I'm confused as hell right now. I am confused. Let's see. Cameron goes full Elsa in the next episode. That's what it looks like. That trailer for next week is very interesting. And there's no way, because I mean, she has to know she knows he's the son of Icicle. There's no way she should not think, especially dealing with Brainwave and Brainwave Jr. How the hell is he not going to inherit his parents' abilities? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Looking forward to the Fate Wing Saga review. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm very glad you guys are being patient with me today. I'm not feeling that hot, but I am determined to get through this stream and that stream today. Because there was a lot happening, and Fate Wing Saga season 2 had a lot going on. So we are definitely having some things to talk about with that one. Why is no one keeping tabs on Icicle Jr.? Exactly. I don't know. Because they're slow. Like they're slow. Yolanda's only keeping tabs on one person, and that is Cindy. And she needs to stop. Yolanda is interesting to me because, again, as the Catholic of the group, you would think she'd be the most forgiving, prone to forgive. It's almost like Courtney is the one that's the Catholic one, going to church and saying, we need to forgive people and all work together in harmony and treat those the way you would like to be treated. And Yolanda should be the one who was like, oh, hell no, I'm from the streets. But it's like, it doesn't make sense that she's that aggressive, but, and non-forgiving, but it is what it is, I guess. After all, she does blame Cindy for everything that happened with Henry Jr., so it's a thing. Have we discussed if the icicles are metas, a supernatural? Seems more like they are supernatural creatures from the family backstory season 1. That's what I want. I don't know. That's the thing about the Arrowverse. I mean, they seem to make everything that's supernatural meta. So, but honestly, it could be a family curse. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. It's definitely generational. It's definitely something that is hereditary because the grandparents both have it, which I'm going to say this again. Why do both of the grandparents have it unless they are related? And that's nasty. I'm just putting it out there. More than likely the grandparents were cousins and they got married, because I can't think of why, because that's just how it works, in your basically your lining when you're going through powers structurally through your family. It's either going to go down the maternal or paternal line. So I mean, for both of them to have it, that's very weird. Just putting it out there. But yeah, and also, why is Cameron a brunette? Like, just putting it out there, guys. So many genetic questions I have. I need Jay back. Yep, and I thought Brother Blood was supposed to be the villain, but looks like Grundy is committing the deaths. I think they're putting too much into it being Grundy, and it may not be Grundy. I think I follow the logic that if it looks too obvious in the beginning, then it probably is not. But then you have those writers who basically throw you off by putting the obvious in front of you and then giving you a lot of evidence towards, away from that. And then it actually ends up being the original thought. So I would really hate for it to be Grundy, honestly. I really would. Because I mean, then it makes it not really, it's not really a mystery because he's really the one that has the most super strength to be able to crush the trailer. I don't know. That's just me. It'd be kind of cool if it was actually Stripe operating autonomously by itself and just going out at night and fighting crime and killing people. The promotional pictures show Starman in the hospital in the next episode. Okay, so he's not dead. I knew they weren't killing him. There's no way they were going to kill him off. They invested too much. Let's see. I'm barely going to catch up on Superman and Lois and The Flash. Yeah, The Flash is... The Flash always leaves me so blah, it's just like it's just I don't know, guys. I'm hoping this last season is actually the best season they have because I'm kinda tired of all the storylines they've been doing. So Stargirl has to be let me move this up so I can read it better. So Stargirl has to be, the same or the same Earth as Titans and Doom Patrol if the crossover is coming in mid-season, but it could easily be something from, another or either Raven or a Doom's Portal character. A patrol I'm sorry, Doom's Patrol character, with that kind of power. So, I know they're doing a crossover, but did they confirm they're gonna be on the same Earth? Because something can happen and Raven can open a portal or something, or somebody could open a portal and end up in each other's real space. We've seen that happen in Arrowverse a lot. So, just because, they are having a crossover does not mean they're from the same Earth. I'm just throwing it out there, putting it out there. The grandparents are, Targaryens. Okay. Yeah, but I still thought, like, I'll have to go back and look in the comics. I thought that it was still on the paternal line. So meaning his wife should not have power, just like how Icicle's wife is just regularly human. I thought that's what his grandfather's wife was. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too much. I'm just thinking too much. That's what it is. Um, when is a new season of Titans? I am not sure, especially since HBO Max and WB have been cleaning house. I'm hoping that we're still getting all these shows. I'm sure we are, but I mean everything's all over the place and completely uncertain. So unless they've announced it recently, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really curious to see the crossover. I really am, especially Doom Patrol. I don't know how the Stargirl cast is gonna fit in with Doom Patrol because Doom Patrol is on crack. So that's gonna be very interesting seeing how they all interact with each other. Um, but yeah, so back to this though, I really feel like we've established that Cameron's turning into his dad. The Crocs technically did not kill the gambler, and they were hiding the fact that they were blackmailed. Um, the gambler actually was doing a 180 because if he gave all the money back that he took when he was like basically blackmailing them for years apparently, then that seems to mean that he was trying to make a change for his daughter. Um, so there's that. Cindy, I'm really curious. I think I'm more curious about what Cindy is trying to do than figuring out who killed the gambler because her storyline for me, it's so subtle, but I really don't think it's something nefarious. I really think she's dying or something is wrong with her and she's trying to save herself. And sometimes she looks at Courtney like she wants to say something to her and she doesn't. I'm really hoping that Yolanda and Cindy this season end up as friends, because I feel like Yolanda's gonna figure out that she's trying to save herself, and maybe if Yolanda sees exactly how bad it was in her house, especially coming from a house like hers, because remember, Yolanda's parents in this version are shit. They're completely opposite than they were in the comics. She had very supportive parents in the comics. These parents are horrible. They are very bad. So if maybe she could like relate, with Cindy on that level because we know that Courtney has daddy issues, but her mom is amazing. And her stepdad now is amazing and she even has a brother out of it. So she's not going through what what Cindy is going through. I mean, hell, Cindy accidentally killed her own mother. So I mean, there's a lot to that. And Yolanda just needs to see that because Yolanda rages too, and Yolanda has potential to kill because she has done so. So she killed Brainwave. And so she, in a way, sometimes I wonder if Yolanda is actually seeing herself in Cindy, and that's what makes her more angry. Because that's how I look at it. Because, I mean, essentially, Cindy and Yolanda are potentially the same person. They just they've basically gone about things in a drastically different way. And at one point, the exact same way. So that's how I look at that. Let's see. Yolanda hates Cindy, which is understandable. Yeah, because of the whole brainwave thing, but I also think that it definitely because she sees, whenever if you really look at Yolanda and how she rages, how quickly she gets angry and is prone to violence, I mean, they're essentially the same character. Starman is such an awesome fighter. At this point, I don't think there's anyone on either team that can really easily take him down outside of the aliens or the Amazons. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Alan Scott making an appearance. I am looking forward to Jay Garrick making an appearance. I need to see more of the JSA members that we haven't seen because, I just feel like that's what we need to have in our lives. I mean, we really do. They've shown us them in the past. We've had scenes with them. We've seen Ted Grant. Of course, we've seen the original Dr. Midnight. I just want to see more of my JSA people, my pre-JSA people. I would love to see people that they've met, other characters they haven't really touched on. But I don't know if we're going to get that or not. So, I mean, that's, here or there, I guess. But at the same time, like, there's so much they can do in this universe, especially if we're going Infinity Inc. So I'm completely down with that because then that would make Jade officially a main character and not just somebody they barely can afford because apparently the Green Lantern powers take a lot of CG. But I'm here for it. I can't wait till the twins show up because this is going to be very interesting. This season is really turning into a very exciting season. But to be fair, last season was awesome. The whole thing with Eclipse, all of that was amazing. So I didn't have a problem. I don't think I've really had a problem with Stargirl. Just some of the stuff that has been written for some of the characters individually kind of was at some points were kind of problematic. But overall, it hasn't been a bad series. So I don't have the problems that I had with Naomi, which I hate because Naomi had potential to be a very good show, but the writing was slow. It was just too damn slow. It took too long to get to a conclusion and a plot point. And so even though, I think they could have found that their footing later on, it was just all over the place in season 1. So Stargirl doesn't really have that, but also to be fair, they didn't start off an Arrowverse show either. So I think that's what helped them. I think it helped that I think it was DC Universe Online, not DC Universe. What was the DC app called? I don't know. It wasn't important. I didn't have it, but it's gone. So it doesn't matter. But they started off a different network and then they got moved over to the Arrowverse. And I kind of think they still kept some of the same writers. And because Jeff Johns, this is his baby, because, as we all know, Courtney is modeled after his sister that passed away. He's very careful with this, and I think that it shows that Jeff Johns is basically like, you may be able to screw up some of my other shows, but you're not going to screw up this one. So I'm really liking it. I really am, and I kind of hope that there's just so much. I want to know what's established. That is my biggest thing. Like, what is established in their universe? We have JSA. Do they have the Justice League in this version? Because again, it's a different Earth. Like, what other teams are out there that we are not seeing? That we never saw in the Arrowverse, because the sky's the limit at this point. They can do whatever the hell they want. So, I don't know. I'm here for it, guys. I am here for it. Wow. So now I'm done. I have talked all I can talk for 32 minutes. I know we normally do longer on these, but I need to save up my energy because, again, I'm not feeling that well because we have a 4:30 Winx Fate Winx Saga season 2 entire season to talk about, and there's a lot to talk about in that damn show. So I'm gonna go so I can rest up a little bit before our next stream. If I did not touch on anything that you guys wanted to talk about in this episode, which was a damn good episode, please put it in the comments below so we can continue this conversation. And then also, if there are any theories you have, like, who do you think killed the gambler? I really want to know. And also, what do you think's going on with Cindy? And do you think that Starman is a clone? I really want the answers to these questions. So put your opinions and theories down below. And who knows, when they reveal it, you may be right. And then we can call back to this and say, hey, remember when you said this? At least I'll try to. My memory is crap, so you'll have to remind me, but we'll try. But I'm going to go, guys, and I will see you in a couple of hours for our next stream for Fate Winx Saga Season 2. And remember, guys, if it is day for you, have a very good day. If it is night for you, have a very good night. And I will see you in my next video and stream.